Olá, aqui ao meu lado eu tenho Scott Olson. Ele é especialista em análise de liquefação, que foi um dos problemas que levou à ruptura da barragem de Fundão. E ele vai falar um pouco para a gente a respeito desse tipo de problema e do que está acontecendo aqui no Cobranseg. Good morning, Mr. Olson.
Bom dia.
Bom dia. First of all, talking about the problems we have with the tailings dam, who's responsible for the most frequent problems we have with this kind of dams? Is it engineering problems or management problem?
I think the problems that occur worldwide with tailing structures, and it's not just Brazil, it's not just the United States, not Canada, not anywhere in particular, is a combination of individuals and organizations that maybe don't treat the problem as seriously as it could be treated. Even in areas where specialists are aware of the problem of liquefaction, these liquefaction failures still occur. So it is not unique to Brazil or anywhere else. These sorts of problems need to be recognized by management, they need to be recognized by the owners, they need to be recognized by the engineers, and all of those people need to work together to help prevent these sorts of problems.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you said a little bit of this, but are the mining companies really aware of the risks of these dams?
I think in some cases they may be aware of them, but here I have not spoken with enough officials higher up in Vale or Samarco to really know whether this was something they were aware of. Speaking to some of the engineers, I think they were raising flags saying this could be a potential problem, but I don't know how much that was heard. So I've only been indirectly involved with Samarco, more looking at existing dams rather than looking at ones that have failed in my current consulting work here in Brazil. So it's difficult for me to say that any one organization or any one engineering firm should have known this was going to happen. That's, again, in hindsight, that's easy to say. Looking forward, that's much more difficult to know that this is going to happen at this particular dam. But certainly liquefaction is a phenomenon that has happened worldwide and has caused the failure of many tailings dams, and it's going to happen in the future unless precautions are taken to specifically prevent that failure mechanism.
Mm-hmm. And not only Samarco, but the other companies you know in the world, do they have this awareness of the risks and of the importance of prevention and on these kinds of things?
Many companies do, but many do not. So other companies I've worked for in North America are aware of this, and they attempt to take precautions. Some of those precautions may be using very conservative design techniques. Of course, that is more costly and more time-consuming and makes more expensive from the design point of view as well. However, that's a move that many companies, many owners have been forced to take because they have experienced similar failures or are aware of similar failures as what happened at Fundão. So my intent in being here and working with the consultants here is to make sure that this is a recognized problem and that the designers and the owners are aware that this can occur again, and we want to prevent it from happening again.
Well, yesterday in his lecture, Professor Valenzuela said that people responsible for the tailings dam should report to the CEO of the company for the company to have this awareness of everything. Do you agree with that? What do you think?
I definitely agree with that. I think that was a very insightful comment that the engineers are one group, but they don't make the final decisions in many cases within a for-profit company. The companies want to make money, and the more, that's how they do well, and that's how all their employees do well, of course, and keep people employed. So it's got to be a situation where the designers work with the managers, the operators, and the operators work with the upper management, the CEOs, the officials in charge of making those final decisions at the corporate level. So yes, there needs to be a direct link from the engineers to the operators to the owners to make sure that this is not overlooked. So I think Dr. Valencia, did I say that correctly?
Valenzuela.
Valenzuela, thank you, had that exactly right.
And how was Fundão accident seen outside Brazil, in the United States, where you can tell me more? And also, what can this accident teach for the geotechnical engineering worldwide?
Well, specialists in the United States and in Canada that I've spoken to were very aware of this. In fact, the panel, in part consisted of experts from the United States and from Canada, as well as South American experts, to help investigate what happened during these failures, or during this failure. What we can learn from this is to recognize the potential limitations of certain types of designs. And in many cases, as I've spoken to with many of the engineers and many of the other participants here at COBRASEG, is that it is oftentimes a number of errors that add on to one another. It is rarely one single mistake or one single oversight that leads to a massive failure like this. It is a number of things that accumulate over many years sometimes. And Fundão is an excellent example that there were deviations from the original design from early during the construction process. As early as 2008, 2009, there were deviations from the original design. And changes in operators, changes in designers, some of these deviations get lost. And then another deviation occurs, and another deviation occurs, and these things they add on to one another, and eventually lead to failures like Fundão. There are several examples worldwide of similar compounding errors or compounding deviations that lead to these kind of failures. So as engineers looking backward at this failure, we want to try to understand those errors, correct the issues like Dr. Valenzuela said. We need to have a long view of the history of each one of these individual facilities to make sure these sorts of deviations are not lost and that we don't continue to compound deviation or error on error and avoid these sorts of things in the future. So the report from the panel has been, to my knowledge, widely read among experts in all throughout North America. Everyone is reading that report, trying to understand what we can about this particular failure so it doesn't happen again.
Okay. And just to finish, are you enjoying the Congress? How do you see it?
I have enjoyed the Congress very much. I am thoroughly impressed with the quality of the speakers, with the quality of the vendor displays and the interaction between the Congress, the people participating in the Congress and the vendors. I've been particularly impressed with the student activities. The Rock Bowl was very, very neat. I plan to chair, or am chairing, a Congress in the United States for the American Society of Civil Engineers in another 2 years, and I'm going to add that to our student activities, as I thought that was a fantastic student activity. The forums that have been held so far have been very interesting, and I've planned to incorporate more forums in our congresses in the United States as a result of being here. So I've been very impressed, very happy with the hosts and the organizers of the Congress. They've done a fantastic job, and I look forward to continuing to see how this Congress evolves, but it has been fantastic so far and given me many ideas for how to improve our Congresses in the U.S.
Thank you very much for us. I think it's an honor to be a kind of inspiration for you. And
it is my pleasure, because I am learning many things.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for being here. And I wish you luck in your Congress.
Thank you. Obrigado.